Hello, I'm Brooke Goldstein and welcome to Outspoken. Today we have a very important episode. We are focusing on the Claims Conference. The Claims Conference is a New York-based nonprofit. It is the entity responsible for negotiating, mainly with the German government, to collect restitution money and to recover stolen property on behalf of Holocaust survivors and their heirs. Now, the Claims Conference is supposed to take the money it gets from Germany and other governments and hold that money in trust and then give that money away to Holocaust survivors to pay for things like food, medical needs, housing, and other basic necessities. Instead, only a fraction of the assets looted from Holocaust victims and paid out to the Claims Conference have been returned to their rightful owners. Rather, the Claims Conference has been funding what it calls education, documentation, and research to the tune of millions of dollars, acting like they have no legal or moral accountability to assist survivors to the best of the Claims Conference's abilities. Here in America, 1/3 of Holocaust survivors live at or below the poverty line. That's 61% of the 100,000 survivors left in the United States that are barely getting by, hardly able to pay their medical bills, their rent, living in dire conditions without even the ability to feed themselves wholesome, nutritious meals. It has been estimated that the Claims Conference has spent over $250 million on things entirely unrelated to survivor care. Researching for this program, I spoke with nonprofits that aid Holocaust survivors and which receive funding from the Claims Conference. None of them were prepared to speak on camera about their experiences out of fear that they would risk losing their funding. One of them, however, agreed to give me an anonymous quote, which reads as follows. Every year, the Claims Conference gives more and more money for educational purposes when the needs of survivors are so dire and they are dying out without adequate help. The German home health care program is a total scam because it does not take into account the physical conditions of Holocaust survivors. Survivors are capped at 40 hours per week, leaving them without help on several days. Recently, one survivor fell on the floor and waited in agonizing pain until her aid came 2.5 hours later. The Claims Conference falsely advertises unlimited increases in home care hours, which is a lie. And they all but eliminated cash assistance for any other needs, medical, food, housing, burial. It is a shunda. End of quote. Is the issue here with the Claims Conference?
The survivor's position after years of dealing with the Claims Conference and the German government and attempting to get restitution of their looted assets and experiencing the hardships and tragedies of survivors aging and being in poverty is that the existing system does not work and has not ever worked.
As a survivor, could you tell us how the community finds out about what services are out there to support your medical and other needs?
From other survivors, because there is no literature, no newspaper to let us know, and occasionally in the newspapers we find something that say they're helping the survivors, but very little.
Is this common, these stories that you're hearing?
Yes, but I want to start by saying that the social worker from Self-Help never, ever communicated with me about my patients. Never called me, how can we help your patient? I never, I could never get their name. I used to call many times and say, I want to speak to the social worker.
Your mother and your father
Yes.
were in the process of applying. Your father passed away in the process of applying. And then, am I correct in saying that your mother was denied?
My mother there's two kinds of assistance that Germany gives and the Nazi governments. One kind is like a pension, disability pension, and the survivor gets themselves. That's what, and you had to prove injury. It wasn't enough that you were tortured
Right.
for years, okay? And so my father died. And then when my mother reapplied for him, I was still a little girl. I tried again and it was denied again. But So she got that for
The
herself.
fact that they have hundreds of millions of dollars in the bank, that they're
Right.
not spending it for Holocaust survivors that you personally see
Right.
are in need of this list of basic medical supplies.
Right.
How does that make you feel?
Terrible. Fortunately, as I say, we have two ladies who are very strong, who help survivors and go out of their way. They physically meet people once a year. They do an analysis of what is needed.
Right.
And this is a very unusual group that we have in Rockland County. We're
Well,
very fortunate.
thank God for the Rockland Jewish Family Services
Yeah,
and
well-
for you as well, Charles.